Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the View Screen Podcast, a podcast where we introduce sci-fi shows to a fantasy nerd. I'm Viztee,
And I'm Overlite.
and today we're looking at Stargate SG1, the first 2 episodes, The Children of the Gods.
We should probably open by saying that we watched this 3 weeks ago.
It
the
is
first
not
time.
fresh.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's well. I did a skim watch. You know, I did a skim watch. I don't. I think we picked a good show to leave a 3 week gap for because
What do you mean?
Can I just? I've been holding this in for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, I haven't been holding it in for but I watched it, and I just, while the thoughts were in my head, had to not say anything, and then I've watched it again, and just thinking about it, I just want to get through my issue with the show.
Issue?
Yes. Well,
What
not
do you mean?
issue, but okay, we're watching sci-fi shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like a sci-fi show.
Well, I mean, I guess it is, like, to start with, it's just kind of like
It felt
American military
Yes.
show. Because it is the American Air Force on a base, not doing a whole lot with a big ring that they've covered over with a piece of cloth.
it's incredibly military. It's
Yeah,
just-
I mean, it is. It just is. That is the show.
But like that's my problem with the show. That's my
What do you
problem with the show,
mean?
and everything it tries to everything the show presents us with is just drowning in this air of like, we've sent the American armed forces onto this alien planet, and this is what happened. And here's how the American armed forces, filled with a bunch of white people, saved the lives of these aliens. And it's just drowning in like the show opens with a bunch of encounters, and every single time they point guns at it, and they're all in like uniform, and they're all like speaking armed military. And I'm there, and I'm like, the show is so American and so like military that I can't bring myself to enjoy it.
What the heck? There is some meta commentary throughout the series on this.
Right,
A little bit,
right.
but not a whole lot. But I definitely remember some incidents. Definitely when the Russians are involved, they give the Americans a lot of shit for
Okay.
cowboying around the universe.
Okay, do we want to do we that I needed to get that out. Most of what I'm going to say today is probably just going to be quite harsh, quite dismissive. Just not very are there many Stargate fans?
Yes,
Oh,
it's a very well loved series. I am a
Okay.
fan. It's probably one of my favorite sci-fi series. I don't like to pick favorites, but it's definitely up there. It's got that comedy edge to it. It's very campy. It doesn't take itself too serious. It's a great show.
okay. So we can add them to the list of people who I have annoyed by saying that I
Okay,
don't like a show
right,
very much.
alienated all Star Trek fans.
Yep.
All
Stargate.
Stargate fans.
Okay, what show are we watching next week?
I don't know. Maybe some more Star Trek.
Oh no.
So, I sent you into this without making you watch the film because I figured you can only go into this show without watching the film once, right? You can't unwatch the film. So, how did you feel about like the overall plot of the show without knowing anything about the fact that there was a film.
The plot.
Yeah.
It wasn't very much. It wasn't very much. It kind of just felt like a very small handful of things happened. They did a lot of talking. There was a lot of going backwards and forwards on things. A lot of like, oh, we have to check this, and oh, we're gonna spend 10 minutes explaining this or watching these people do something.
Yeah, I like it. It was nice. It was refreshing. I was watching it and I thought, man, it's so refreshing not to be running around at 100 miles an hour, just head first into things without like there being any explanation of them at all. I was like, man, I miss when TV was nice and slow and took its time. And Overlite's here like, this shit's too slow.
Well, I don't think there's much to say about the plot. Like it functioned as it needed to function. You know, there were some aliens and they went through the Stargate to a planet because some evil aliens wanted to do bad things. And so they sent the Americans in. That's kind of how it that's just how it felt to me. And it concluded on like we're going to hunt them down. We're gonna go after those bad guys who have done a lot of bad things.
They're also gonna explore strange new worlds.
Yes,
you know, seek out new life and new wait, hang on, that's the wrong show. But they are gonna explore and bring back some technology to help Earth defend itself from another invasion.
They are.
That was what they said at the end. That's their plan.
I'm pretty sure. Doesn't he just go? They're like, oh, they're out there. What are we gonna do? And then they're just like, we'll find them. That's what we'll do.
There was like a conversation around the table at one point about maybe it was like halfway through, where they're like, what are we gonna do about them up there? And they're like, oh, well, it's clear what we have to do. Close the gate and bury it forever. And it's like, well, it's too late for that. They already came through. They know we're here, and we can't leave people behind. Plus, we can go out there and we can find all of this new crazy technology and use it to defend Earth.
Should we
do a full plot?
Should we do a full
like a
plot?
Baby? Should we do a baby plot summary?
Do you have a baby plot summary? Because I have a.
I don't think I wrote any small one down or have one on top of my head.
I wrote a small one. My Overlite's very dismissive plot summary. You can have that with a jingle in. Overlite's very dismissive plot summary.
Bum bum.
Step 1. The Stargate opens, and some men come through and kidnap people. Oh no. They kidnap some Americans. Step 2. The American armed forces go through in response. Step 3. It turns out there is an evil race of parasites kidnapping people. Step 4. The American armed forces free the kidnapped people. Brackets, with some losses. Brackets. Step 5. The show pretends not to be misogynistic, but is. Brackets, naked women, but no naked men. And pretending to have relevant female characters, when in fact it is very dismissive of them. That wasn't a plot point. I think I just got mad about that.
Like that.
Sorry?
Don't you do Sam like that?
I'm not trying to be like
Don't you do Sam like that?
The show is doing Sam badly.
What do you mean?
She's
just spend the first 2 episodes being like, ooh, look at this thing. Ooh, look at that thing. Because she's not been through the Stargate before and everybody else has. So she's like, ooh, look at this.
Yeah. But she's introduced. Okay, we should explain. For people who listen to this podcast and haven't seen these shows, there is one female character that is actually, like, relevant. I mean, there's a second one at some point.
Well, don't do Sharae like that.
Yeah, Sharae, who's super relevant as basically an accessory for one of the men in the...
Yeah.
And then later an accessory for one of the villains.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
well,
one
she doesn't
female
die,
character.
but she effectively gets fridged.
Yeah. There's one female character. She's called Sam, and in the scene in which she is introduced, the titular character, the protagonist that we've been following the whole time, looks at her, and he's like just generally sort of a bit dismissive of her in the conversation leading up to this, and in order to defend himself, he's like, I like women, in just the most like horrifying. It's a
90s TV show set in the 90s, early 2000s. It comes with the territory. When was Star Trek made? Well, Star Trek's
either,
just as bad.
Star Trek is
we didn't watch episode 3, but holy shit.
Yeah. No, it just felt to me like there were women in the show, and they were there to sort of be looked down upon, or there as accessories, or there just to be stripped naked, or to be kidnapped.
Well, listen, Sam is a fucking badass. She's definitely like one of the best women sci-fi characters ever. Just the first 2 episodes, she doesn't do a whole lot, and I actually kind of like the thing of her getting introduced, because they're basically like, oh, we're just waiting for our last person, Sam Carter, and O'Neill's like, so when is he arriving? And then Sam walks in, she's like, she is arriving now, and then he's like, what the heck's going on? It's the classic, assumption, and then she's like, listen here, bitch. And then they have an argument about something, and she's like, he like is annoyed because she's a scientist, and then one of the other characters is like, do you know what it feels like to pull X amount of G's in a aircraft? And she's like, yeah, because I flew combat in whichever war was most recent,
the Gulf War.
Yeah, so
did
she's
100
like,
flights in the Gulf War.
Yeah, she's a badass. She knows what's up. She's damn smart.
I think it's just, it comes across as incredibly demeaning to her character, because it's made in the 90s, and they're trying to be like showing off, like, look at how cool she is. Look at how like she's flown in a war a bunch. She basically is like the most competent person in the room by a country mile, but like by unnecessarily flexing that and having to like constantly be like, look at how cool she is, it just comes across as like a bit demeaning, because she's the only relevant female character in the show. It's like, yeah, we couldn't put any actual women. We couldn't put a character in this who is, we couldn't make a woman an actual character, so we made Sam, who is super cool in all these ways. I don't think does Sam actually do anything in these 2 episodes? She does she does like that one coding simulation.
Yeah, I was sick because like they like go through. We completely derailed from our short plot summary. Yeah. She goes through like the she just like talking. She sort of is the exposition for the audience kind of character in the first 2 episodes, where she's like, this is what the dial home device is, the DHD, and this is what the this is, and this is how the gate symbols work, and how we've now worked out how we can access all these other planets, which they didn't know how to do until they had a miraculous thought about the distances shifting over the thousands of years that the gates have existed and stuff. And it's so she sciences some stuff out, but for most of the episode she is just kind of like, she is kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. And then she sets up some claymores at the end, and then fucking O'Neill is like, oh, make sure she's done it correctly, and she's like, whatever, dude.
What a fucking dickhead. What an asshole.
What an asshole.
The map thing. So to explain this, they only have the coordinates to one other Stargate initially that they go and visit.
Yeah.
And then they
It's
discover
the only one that worked.
Yeah, it's the only one that works.
They did
and
hundreds of permutations.
Yes, of codes using the Earth as a reference or whatever it was.
Point of reference.
Yes. And and they're like, damn, we can't get it to work. And then the other guy who's just been sitting around, not doing any of this science stuff for 10 years. He's been hanging out on this planet. They left a scientist behind on this planet 10 years ago, and he's still there. He basically just sort of got married to the culture and the people, and he's just been living there with them. And he's just offhandedly like, oh, what if the galaxy moved and everything has different positions now? And I'm like, okay, I know this is all science nonsense, but nobody else thought of this? He's like the only guy, and only because you mentioned it to him just now? You had a whole team of people doing this over and over and over again, trying to figure something out?
It's mainly just Sam doing it over and over again.
She says she has a team. She's like,
my
team
but
did
it's
this.
not
Hundreds of permutations.
Idiots!
A team of people who never thought, like, hey, what if all the places
it's probably just
moved?
the team. It's probably just, like, the people who are making sure it gets powered, and the people making sure nothing explodes, rather than...
Right.
Anything else?
I don't know. That bit made me laugh. That bit made me... It was just, like, I know you're trying to science it here, but it seems ridiculous that no one had gone, what if they'd moved? They still wouldn't have had, like, the map. They could have just been like, oh my god, a map. We needed this so that we could calculate...
I just didn't consider that it moving would be an issue. Like, they tried... I don't know, they managed to lock onto one thing, and they managed to not lock onto anything else. They just, like, I can understand not even thinking about what if the reason we locked on, like, it was such a specific thing with, like, Abydos being the closest planet, so that the shifting wasn't really an effect on the dialing, but shifting of these ones was.
I'm not
shaking my head.
It's just silliness to me.
Anyway, let's do an Omega pivot back to our mini summary of the episode. God knows where you got to. I think were you on step 5? You complained about Sam.
Step 5 wasn't actually step 5. Step 5 was just me complaining about how the show is pretending not to be misogynistic, but actually is.
Well, luckily we didn't watch the next episode.
Thank God we won't be revisiting Stargate SG1.
No.
I'm happy to say. Catch us next week when we watch something else.
No.
No, it pretty much, the show, genuinely, I think the plot boils down to some aliens come through the Stargate, so they put together a team, they send them through, the team figures a thing out, and then they come back again, and then they go through again to catch those aliens, and they catch them, get imprisoned, and then break out, and then the aliens escape. And the Americans bring back a bunch of refugees. That in my mind is basically what happens. You just skip
over the whole, like, kidnapping, parasite implanting this.
Yeah, it didn't. They're evil parasites. That's who the evil people are. It doesn't seem like it. It just felt to me like they just need a villain. They just need an alien that is evil, and so they went with like parasites that infect people and gain powers.
It's just carrying on from the movie though, because that's the body of the movie.
Yeah. They could have had anyone, in my mind. Like, it just doesn't seem that relevant to,
do you have an idea of what happened? There was a little sort of recap of the movie where they're, like, quizzing...
Okay, here's my understanding of the movie plot.
Okay, yeah.
Having just skimmed through episodes 1 and 2, it seems to me like they probably had this Stargate just sort of chilling out, somewhere on the planet. Maybe it was already in this military base. Maybe it was actually out in the open. But
it was technically it was in a different mountain.
It was in a different mountain.
Yeah. It's still the same mountain, but it was a different mountain. It's
right
for movie to TV show reasons.
Right. Okay. And then some aliens came through and I don't know, kidnapped some people. Maybe I don't know. And then the Americans
I think they just
were like,
opened it.
"Oh my god, some aliens have kidnapped our people."
Oh, I remember. No.
And
okay,
they do some science, and they send the people through.
Yeah.
And they go to the other planet, and the Americans are like, "Oh my god, it's aliens. They look like humans, but they just look like non-white American humans. Oh my god, we have to help them living out here in this desert." And there's probably they probably get imprisoned, and then they free themselves, and then there's a nuke involved at some point, and then they nuke the bad guys, and they go home, and they're all like, "Hoorah!" and celebrating how cool Americans with guns are.
Yeah, definitely a lot of celebrations with O'Neill retiring from the military to live on his little farm and look at the stars, and after all of his pain and anguish that he's been through, and Daniel staying behind on the planet. Definitely a lot of celebration and happily.
It's okay. He was gifted the finest woman that they had.
Yeah, but they fell in love, not from the gifting. They just fell in love anyway.
She was a gift, though.
Yeah, but then he didn't accept the gift. They just fell in love.
Oh, okay.
He did say that in the show.
That definitely makes it better that she was presented as a gift. Look, I genuinely, I'm actively, everything I look at this show is through this lens of, I feel like it's trying to sell me on American, military parades and people with guns, just because it's so, enshrouded in it. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's trying to say the opposite about how it's bad. First 2 episodes, they do a lot of shooting. A lot of rescuing, and saving non-Americans from their problems. What is a sci-fi? They shoot down a ship with an RPG, which I just thought was really funny, actually. At one point, there's an alien ship flying around, and they shoot it down with a rocket launcher. It's very entertaining.
But that's what they're for.
I know, but it's they're fighting them with they take some of the aliens' weapons, and they're one of the only things that works against the aliens. But then they need an RPG. It's just the claymores and the RPGs and the all of the military stuff. It's hard to look to not be disillusioned by it when it's so prevalent.
Yes.
Again, I'd like to apologize to all of the Stargate fans who I have made enemies out of for life today. I haven't seen the full series. Maybe they do better later on. Maybe this is just how shows are in the 90s.
Yeah.
Just swimming in.
I mean, it's always a show about the American Air Force going to space, but it's definitely doesn't have anywhere near the amount of sexism-y stuff that the first 3 episodes have.
I did enjoy, again, with the American. I did enjoy the bit where they're the protagonist is I'm requesting to put together a team to go through the Stargate, and then the general of the base is I'll have to check with the president.
Yeah.
The president.
He's got a direct line. You see that red phone on my desk?
Go straight to the president.
Go straight to the fucking president of the United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Man with guns.
The general has a goddamn alien fucking ring in his base, that has literally gone to another planet.
That is true. That's quite. It's just, it's so
kind of
like
important.
it's so. And you mentioned this to me at one point, that the show, apparently, I don't think you intended to do this, but I call it that you said the show sort of goes into what makes Earth different.
Yeah.
And I felt, again, incredibly cynical. Because I was like, well, so far it's been about Americans going to alien planets and saving them.
Well, it's a classic
saving the aliens.
sci-fi kind of thing of like what makes humanity, like what gives them this drive, what makes them like good, because SG1 do a lot of good across the galaxy, where the Goa'uld are just fucking trashing everything. Other like big major powers either don't exist anymore, are actively just chilling out, hidden on their own, or are dealing with some other insane threat somewhere else. And like it's like what it's like the show is effectively humanity's growth and understanding of they're like trying to claw their way to some understanding in the universe, and then actually end up becoming like a sort of like good power in the galaxy.
I'm still so cynical of like the knowing that I'm like, are they just going to be going places and, you know, shooting their way to victory and fighting out aliens and
most of the
saving
time,
all of the alien races with their men in military outfits.
Hoorah!
Hoorah!
Not what the Air Force says, but
what does the Air Force say?
Not that. I don't know.
Also, at no point did I realize that this was the Air Force.
Yes, not the Army. I don't think, did they mention that in that episode?
It's the same thing. They're
not
military.
The same thing. Wait, but it's not the same thing. The Air Force is different to the Army.
If a man
okay?
comes up to me on the street and says, "Join the Army,"
yeah,
and then another man comes up to me, and then another man comes up to me on the street and says, "Join the Air Force." Yeah. I'm gonna be like,
which one do you think?
I'm gonna be like, bro,
more technical.
You just asked me this.
No, somebody asked you to join the Army. It's completely different.
No, they've got completely different.
One of them does things with planes and space, and the other one does things not to do with planes and space.
In-depth analysis. This week.
It's like saying that the Navy and the Army are the same thing.
I know they serve different purposes, but like
they're all branches of the American Armed Forces.
Yeah, they're all military.
I can't believe this.
They just have a different group of engineers and equipment. Anyway, back to plot, maybe? Is there anything about the plot that I missed? I mean, should we go into like what is actually going on with the
we haven't
really
talked about it at all. We've definitely uber rambled.
Yeah. It's been a real rambler this week.
Oh god. Enjoy.
Does that make the show better or worse than Star Trek?
I don't know. So, I noticed, I don't remember this off the top of my head, but I wrote down at the very start of it had some very spooky early 2000s intro music.
It did?
Yeah, like during whatever happened at the start, leading to the Stargate opening and Apophis and like his soldiers coming through and kidnapping the woman soldier who was there and killing some of the other soldiers. I definitely remember there was some sort of eerie intro music which was very reminiscent of like early 2000s TV shows.
That's quite interesting. I wish I'd paid attention.
Unbelievable. I had a whole conversation about music, and then
I know the music was quite good. The music was quite like, it was very atmospheric, I think. I wasn't paying that much. I was sort of, I was a bit jaded by the guns and the nukes and the like. I'm reading my notes. You know what? You know what they did good?
Yeah.
Very little exposition early on. They do eventually start being like the alien that we fought from before has come back, and what if this happened?
Yeah,
and
but then it wasn't even the alien that they fought before. They just thought it was.
yes, but like it didn't. I mean, until they you know started questioning the protagonist, brought him in for questioning, and then they had to go into what went on there, and then what they were going to do, and then figure out what was happening. And then there was a whole thing with the tissue box and sending it through the Stargate and getting one back, and then they went through the Stargate, and so it ended.
Getting ahead of things.
It did end up being quite exposition heavy, but those opening like 5 to 10 minutes were like blissfully scenic and sort of setting like tone and what's going on and showing us how many guns they had.
So, as Overlite has said, the show, it opens with some aliens coming through the Stargate. It's been sort of decommissioned effectively, and there's just some soldiers playing some poker in the room that it's in, because they're like, oh, what's this thing under there? Who gives a shit? And they're chilling out, and then a fucking massive wormhole appears through it, and some aliens come through, kill one of the soldiers, kidnap another one, and have a firefight with the ones before, somehow leaving, which isn't explained. I did notice this. It is not explained how they powered up, dials their way back to wherever they came from and left.
Oh, interesting.
Because the Earth Stargate doesn't have a dialing device; they have to use a computer. So they could have done it manually. Which
maybe they had,
did.
Maybe they had like a special Stargate.
They might have had
activating
something to like power it, and then they just twisted it around manually. But they really skip over that in the start.
Doesn't matter too much.
No, it doesn't matter. And then the general comes through, and he's like, we can't shoot him. Let them go. We can't risk shooting one of our soldiers like that." And they leave, but not before Apophis makes his eyes glow, so that they know it's one of the same creatures that they fought in the movie.
Was there a reason Apophis did that?
He's just dramatic, go old flair.
Just wanted to give them information.
About... he thinks himself as a god, and he's gonna flex on those motherfuckers as much as he likes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Shout out to Apophis.
What?
for goading them.
Yeah. And then, the general, he's like, shit, okay, we need somebody who knows what they're doing. So they go and pick up Jack O'Neill from his house where he's retired and he's just chilling out, don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And then they kind of recap the movie where basically, Daniel, Jack, a couple of other soldiers like Kowalski go through the Stargate, originally, meet a bunch of the locals, realize there's a baddie there, decide that the locals deserve saving, kill the baddie on his gigantic spaceship, which is so big that you can park, like, it all started off Overlite with the theory that the pyramids, the Great Pyramids, were built to be landing pads for alien spacecraft, okay?
Okay.
And they were.
Oh my god.
That's right.
Wow.
So there was a big motherfucking spaceship parked on top of a pyramid.
Amazing.
And on Abydos, and they blow up the ship above it in orbit. And then they
I can't believe that.
Yeah. So Jack, he's seen some shit. And then they They get the information out of him that they kept the locals and Daniel alive on the planet.
Can I
Because Jack had lied about it.
Is this a complete? Are you doing every single plot point?
Pretty much just getting the main ones, yeah.
Yeah, you continue. Just wanted to check. I don't.
Okay.
I'm not. I don't have anything to say about.
I'm waiting for you. I'm just like, is
You
there
waiting
like,
for me to
if Overlite
interrupt?
has anything to jump in? You know, we talked about Sam, so Sam gets introduced.
Yep.
You know, she's badass. We love her. They go through the gate. The aliens. They find out that the aliens didn't come from Abydos this time. They must have come from another gate. Dun dun dun.
Oh my gosh, Abydos is like a.
And they're like, that's
planet.
not possible. And then Apophis, so they're like, they've gone off to look at this cartouche that Daniel's found.
I'm sorry?
And then Apophis, cartouche.
Cartouche.
And then, yeah.
What is a cartouche?
Like a
I mean, I know it's a
collection
map.
of writings.
Okay, it's not even a map. It's a collection of writings. Okay.
Yeah. Which they find out is like a map of Stargate addresses, so they...
Oh, I can stop you, actually. I have things to say.
Okay.
They are going to be very, once again, it's the way, gosh, this bit really got me, okay? They come through the gate to Abydos, sandy planet.
Yeah.
They encounter the locals. There's a bit of gun pointing and tension before the scientist who has been on the planet the whole time is like, Tachare! And he explains that they're all friends here and they're all on the same side. And then the protagonist, like, walks past him because he hates scientists. But actually, it's because he's here to see his this kid that he's sort of projecting fatherhood onto.
Yeah.
Because his own son died, which I thought was, you know, that's character. There's something, there's something going on here. Something of substance. Oh my goodness. And then this is the bit that really got me. The kid gives him an American salute, and I was like, "Damn, this sure is America." Because it's like all of these people, they're dressed like they're in the Middle East. This planet is in the middle of a desert. None of these people are like even close to what you'd consider like white people. It's like it's the very like spitting image to me of like some foreign place full of people who are different, and one of them is doing an American salute to a soldier, and I'm like, God damn, is this incredibly jarring and bizarre.
Well, I mean, he looked up to him when he was there and followed him around, and they literally liberated their planet from and killed the person claiming to be their god who enslaved them for hundreds of years.
Good old American liberation.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
But actually, because
it actually was this time.
Actually was.
Is this in a movie?
It's not like, there was actually an
it's not like real life.
God-like entity using its magical sci-fi powers rather than real life.
It's a good thing they didn't have oil.
Well, they wouldn't have tried to nuke it if there was oil there.
Oh, true.
Yeah. They would have been like, let's get through there. Come on, let's go.
They would have
God,
brought
gotta get that all that naquita. I mean oil. All that oil. Shit. Oh shit.
They would have
I've
brought
ruined
the god to
plot point.
like the negotiating table or something.
Well, so we want to know because that wouldn't have gone well for them. You see. Then all of Earth would have been invaded much earlier, and
Right,
we've all
right.
been enslaved.
Didn't think
That would
about
have been a
My bad.
mistake.
Fair enough. Anyway, so where
God,
are we
I can't
at?
remember.
The cartouche.
Cartouche. Yeah, they get a load of hieroglyphs, there's a lot of gate addresses, blah blah blah. They have the conversation we talked about before.
Oh, we can find the other planets now. Let's go find the other planets.
Exactly. While they're doing that, the Stargate that they've come through onto Abydos gets attacked, and a lot of the locals and soldiers all get killed, and one of the soldiers is very injured, and he manages to see where the Goa'uld people type an address in, and he manages to like see the numbers, but then he passes out from his injury. So he sees the address of where they've gone at least, Sharai and Skara get kidnapped. So Sharai is Daniel's wife on the planet.
The one who was
and
presented
Skara
as a
is
gift.
the kid who likes O'Neill.
The one who did a salute.
Yep. And then they have to take Daniel back to Earth, even though he doesn't want to go. And the Aberdonians bury the gate so they can't come back through, so that they don't get invaded again.
Oh, that's very sad. I didn't even realize.
Yep.
I mean, the only 2 side characters from Abydos are gone anyway.
True. And then when they come back through the gate to Earth, they go, "Close the iris!" And this iris closes on the gate, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And they've made this iris that basically sits like a nanometer or something in front of the event horizon of the wormhole. So if anything comes through, it gets obliterated before it can rematerialize.
It's just a door. Like
it's a door.
They just put a wall, wall that can retract.
You can open it.
A retractable wall.
Yeah, so that nobody can come through when they don't want them to. It's genius.
I can't believe it. We put a door in front of the gate.
Look,
how didn't we think of this before?
They didn't think about needing like any form of permission to go from place to place with their fucking utopian society they lived in. They didn't need any of this shit.
Yeah.
So you got to make do.
Spoilers.
They.
Whoever built the gates.
Whoever built the gates.
Whoever built the gates.
Those damn ancient bastards.
So they come back through. They have like 1 million meetings.
Yeah.
They are in meetings for like 30%. Like it's 30% of it is just them standing in a military base, talking about what they're going to do next, figuring out what they're going to do next, doing what they're going to do next. Cameras moving around. The gate is opening. The gate is closing. They're in another meeting room. They're in the hospital. Someone's being sat down and have a chat.
What I love about they get to the hospital bit and they're like talking to the soldier. He's woken up and they're like, "Hey, listen, we need you to tell us the symbols so we can follow the alien." And he's already doing it. As soon as he woke up, he got them to bring him a computer with it on, and he's already doing it. Like, what a fucking Chad. What a guy.
What a guy. What a hero.
Like, none of this like, what do you need me to do? I think I might be able to do that. He's like, yep, it was this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one.
He's a soldier with a mission.
What a fucking badass.
His priority, pretty badass.
Yeah.
Still, it still washes off me when everyone is like soldiering around. I'm like, yep, that's some deep soldier moments. That seems like something a soldier would do.
So when we look for more sci-fi shows, we're going to avoid anything soldiery.
Well, it's just the whole thing opens with aliens come through the gate. They shoot the aliens. The aliens shoot back, obviously. They get more guns. The aliens leave again. They talk about the nuke that they sent through. They talk about sending another bomb through to stop them coming back. They point more guns at it every single time it opens. It's like it opens with like 5 to 10 minutes of just pointing guns at things. And I'm like, damn, is this the show? And it is. It is literally the show. They're all walking around in meetings, talking to the president.
You get what you're given straight away.
Anything that happens,
you're introduced.
I'm like, damn, the president really did us a good one there. Well done, America. You got me good. It's like, it's so hard to escape from it when it like is the show.
Yeah, well, it's the show.
Which unfortunately I'm not.
Anyway,
I'm thinking about why I liked Battlestar Galactica now.
Well, Battlestar Galactica is a military ship.
Yeah.
But it's not the American military.
It was not the American military.
It's the military of the 12 colonies.
Yeah, and it was very like
the colonial military.
A lot of that like military focus was on like, the horrors that they were having to face. And
Well,
the
we didn't even watch the
difficulties
next
and-
episode either.
No,
right?
we watched. No, we. But like 50,000 people died. They had to make sacrifices. Everyone was really upset about it. They all struggled really
there
hard.
wasn't even 50,000 people died because only like 50,000 people survived the entire 12 colony genocide. So.
But like the sacrifices they had to make, the losses, it was all like, and also some of the military focus was like
the next episode.
Was like emphasizing. Sorry, we're talking about Battlestar Galactica. It wasn't. I want to use the phrase jingoism, which is like the attitude of. Well, I think this is what it means. I'm gonna Google it actually. Hold on. Extreme patriotism, especially in the form of aggressive or warlike foreign policy. That's the word that I think pops into my head when I think about Stargate. Is it's got this just element of like, we're gonna send in a team of soldiers into this planet, and they are going to rescue people, and they're gonna like be heroes, and they're gonna run around, and they're gonna get refugees and save those refugees, and they're gonna bring them back, and they're gonna be the ones to do it all because they're American heroes. And it's like, damn, this is a little bit detached from reality, my friend. This is not.
Yeah, but the teams they make are like the SG1 ends up being spoilers for the end of the episode. O'Neill, who is a colonel.
Yeah.
I can't remember what rank he is.
He's a soldier.
Colonel, lieutenant.
He's a good soldiering man.
And then Sam, who is a soldier in
100 fights in the Gulf War, set up the claymores. That's a soldier
in the Air Force, but she is also a scientist with a PhD in astrophysics or
this is true.
Something. Remote theoretical astrophysics.
A PhD in movie science.
Yeah. So she can do everything. And then there's Daniel, who is a linguist and an expert on different cultures.
I'm sorry, he's a linguist and an expert on different cultures, and he's the one who went, have you thought about the fact that the galaxy moves?
Yeah. Listen, he's had a lot of time to sit on that planet. There's not a lot going on there.
Okay, fair enough. He's like desperate for something to think about. He's just...
He's like, oh, look at all these gate addresses. I wonder if maybe the galaxies move.
I need a scientific journal, please.
I'll ask. You know what? If I ever find a scientist, I'll ask.
I'll take algebra at this point.
Yeah. And then Teal'c, who is an alien.
Yeah.
Who is also a soldier.
Who is also a soldier, but who is not an American soldier.
No. He's first prime of Apophis. But not anymore.
I'm sorry? Okay, yeah.
Spoilers.
It's okay, I'm sure we'll never get around to SG1 anyway.
I mean, I just meant spoilers for the recap.
Oh, right, yeah. It doesn't. They don't really explain much about the like. There's a lot of mystery they leave to the sort of function of the alien society that they come across.
They do mention Teal'c explains the Jafar and the fact that they've been like altered or bred to be able to carry the Goa'ul's larva to maturity inside of their stomach, and in return it grants them immunity from disease, etc., etc. But if they take it out, they die.
Yeah.
Eventually from said disease, etc., etc. So
get that explanation. We learn about like the god, but like there's no explanation. Like you've no idea. Like they get to this planet. When they do finish with their meetings, suddenly back into plot synopsis. They go through the gate to where they know, where they know those aliens are hiding, and they're met by a bunch of druid-looking people, like old men in green hoods with staffs, like druid staffs with crystals on the staffs.
They worship the Apophis as a god.
They're just like hanging out outside.
Well, they're on their way back to the Stargate, obviously.
Of course. How could I have been so foolish?
You silly.
But like I couldn't tell if they were locals or like they don't linger on it too much. which, I mean, to me just felt like, they needed a villain. They needed, like, lots of this stuff doesn't get explained because they're on an alien planet, and it's, there are some evil people for whatever reason.
This
and
isn't
I'm not
Lord
too
of the
bothered.
Rings. You don't need a like eight chapter synopsis of why the druids are wearing green cloaks.
Well, no, but, like, to me, it's all very expendable. It's all very expendable, like, information. They're going to go to some other planets, like, after this. We're never going to see Abydos again. Probably never going to see this planet that the second planet they visit this episode.
Nah, but you will. That's that funny thing of, like,
Yeah.
every planet seemingly looks like a different area of the Vancouver forest. It's very weird. Very strange how all the planets look like that. But anyway, it's just completely circumstantial.
Oh my god, okay. Right, okay. I can't wait for the next planet. Look at me.
Just a seemingly different area of Vancouver. It's very weird.
Oh, it's very unusual, that.
Very strange.
Very strange. Anyway, yeah, they get pointed. They meet some druids, some local druids, who point them in the right direction. They go visit the town they get pointed to. They get there.
Yeah.
Basically, immediately get captured.
Yeah.
After an encounter with
they
Big
find
Bad.
out. They get there and they basically Apophis shows up and Pob doesn't really notice or give a shit about them being there at all until Daniel tries to rescue Sharae, who he thinks is Sharae, who's with Apophis, but it turns out Sharae's been taken as a host by a Goa'uld, and she's not Sharae anymore.
Oh no, Sharae.
And so they all get captured.
The only other female, the only other woman in the show.
Yeah, kind of.
Can't wait for more women to show up and then get shelved again.
Oh, no.
It's okay, because we've got Sam, who's been put on a pedestal.
Yeah. I mean, she's all, I love Sam.
She's doing her best.
She's got great hair.
In an unwinnable environment. She does have great hair.
And then Teal'c comes, who is the head of Apophis's, like, Goa'uld as a Jafar, like, contingent, he's in charge.
Yeah.
And he comes up and he's like, sees them all in prison and he's like, where are you from? And then they don't say where they're from, but they draw the little A with a dot on top, towery symbol, which is like their origin point on the Stargate, effectively.
Right.
And Teal'c he conveniently covers that up. It doesn't show it to any of the other Jafar. And then he fucks off without really saying anything.
Right.
I
skipped over this bit. I'd forgotten this happened.
Oh.
I
Then Skara gets chosen to become a Goa'uld as well.
Oh, not Skara, my boy. I just said that to remind everyone that Skara is the kid who did the salute.
Yeah, Skara's the kid. And then Jack, who is the main character, asks Teal'c, he's like, I could save these people, help me. And then Teal'c's like, many people have said that to me, but you're the only person who I think can. And then they fight their way out of the prison, and Teal'c betrays his own people. Why?
Okay, I'm sure there's like an actual in-universe reason why, but once again, this is where I get to scoff and laugh some more because I'm like, oh, the American can save you, can he? He's the only one.
Well, we don't learn in this episode, but in future episodes, we see like Teal'c. I mean, I think he does. You do see him sort of like cringe a lot of the stuff Apophis is doing.
Right.
But he hates the Goa'uld, and his master, who was the previous first prime of Apophis, trained him, and they both despise the Goa'uld and know that they're false gods. And And then he obviously like the Earth, the humans, they come through and they've got all these like crazy weapons and tech and stuff, which nobody else has because they've all been enslaved for hundreds of, or if not like thousands of years. But it is thousands of years, like 2,000 years. They've been enslaved. They've got the Goa'uld and the Jafar. They're like the Jafar are slaves as well. But the Goa'uld have all the power. They have all the technology. Nobody else does. So then this group of people come through with technology that nearly rivals that of the Goa'uld, and he's like, these people might actually be able to do something, and that's why he chooses to side with them.
Because of their rifles.
Yeah, they got some really nice P90s. Actually, do you have any P90s in the first episode? I can't remember.
They've got some really good guns.
I really like. I love Stargate because they use P90s, whereas like you just never see them anywhere else. It's so nice to see them.
It's such
a fun sci-fi gun.
I don't want to feel vindicated or justified by my continued disdain for the angle that the show is selling me on, but like the fact that the explanation for like why the Americans were the ones to do it was they got some really good guns is not a good sign to me. It doesn't feel great.
Well, it's just their technology level, not even necessarily like Tilk went through the gate in the first place. He saw their base, like
yeah.
God, I've forgotten what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, the funny thing. So the P90s. So there's a funny thing. So in the show, like throughout the whole show, they basically mostly use P90s, which they hold a lot of ammo. They load up in from the top, and they said the reason they got them is they look like quite sci-fi as a gun. But because they expel the cartridges downwards, I think, when they fire, they're like safer for the crew to use as like the actors to use.
Yeah.
And at one point during filming, the American military like basically called up the show and was like, "Can you please stop buying all of the P90 blanks? Because we need them." And they're like, "Can you sell us some back?" And they're like, "No, sorry, we're going to use them for the show." And then there's a part, like a sort of bit of one of the seasons in the show where they started using other guns because they'd obviously run out of ammo because it was being used in whatever war was happening at the time.
Oh my god, that's incredible!
So they had to swap to a different gun. Oh, it's so funny, like all this. It's so good. Oh. But it's already like kind of an obscure weapon that you don't really see.
The P90.
Yeah.
I'm not a connoisseur of
I'm
guns.
not a gun connoisseur. I think you'd recognize it if you saw it. It's got quite an iconic.
I mean, I recognize the name from, I want to say, Counter-Strike.
Yeah, maybe. I haven't played much Counter-Strike, so I can't say if it's in it.
It's that like chunky thing.
Yeah, like with the sort of big mag that you like mount into the top.
Yeah, it's very rectangular.
Yeah.
Very chunky.
Holds a lot of ammo.
Holds a lot of ammo. Drops outward. Easy for actors to not injure themselves with.
Yeah.
I assume they're all firing blanks all the time as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because they must have been at the time, but a lot of things nowadays don't use like any ammo. They just
CGI
pretend to shoot and they CG it all in.
Oh god, they actually
but maybe
do.
at the time they did. I know they actually got trained by professional, like they had to go through like effectively a boot camp and were trained to handle the weapons properly. And
they must have been on very good terms with the...
And like they actually, you see a lot of the time they do like actually handle the... Their gun safety is very on point and stuff.
Oh, good for them.
Like, a lot of the time, so it's pretty cool.
Where are we?
They're not just fucking waving it around.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get to the end of the synopsis, and it's like, well, it's been a good episode.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I think
captured?
we were at Tilk and Jack. They were like fighting their way out of the prison with the people, and
that fight scene, by the way, when they fight their way out, is the jankiest fight scene I have seen in a while, because all the sort of henchmen are just stood shooting in one direction, and then I assume this is because it's the 90s and like CGI is happening.
They're like, we'll just edit around it, and they didn't put too much effort into the like. Well, now it'd have like a full fight choreography team, like, planning out this epic fight.
They
were like, right, you stand in a line, we'll stand in a line, we'll win because we're the goodies,
and you'll all fall over after getting exploded, and blah blah blah. And it looked very, very awkward.
I mean, that's just products of its time.
Pretty much, yeah.
They start escaping. They have a load of other people who were trapped with them, and then they start getting chased by some death gliders, which are some like basically like a
alien
small plane
ship
with some space lasers on it. Yeah,
it basically has Star Wars lasers on it.
And then, it's kind of like they're just giant versions of the rifle, like the sort of staff weapon that the Jafar use. They use like this staff weapon that you can smack people over the head with, or you can tilt it, pull a trigger, and it shoots a fucking laser beam out of it, right?
A classic feature of the staff is that you can beat people across the head.
Well, the staff is a weapon of terror. Whereas the P90 Overlite
is it a weapon
of no, it's a weapon
liberation?
Designed to kill
the American dream,
efficiently and effectively, not to brutally maim people and spread terror.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weapon of decisive killing.
Yeah.
En masse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but yeah.
Sorry, look, it's important to frame things in many different. I'm gonna stop now. Anyway,
but yeah, they it's not looking great for them as they're escaping, getting shot by these death gliders. Then one of them gets shot out the sky by an anti-air missile that Overlite was talking about at the start of the episode.
Straight up a rocket launcher. It's incredible.
Yeah.
They just shoot a rocket. Like it never before seen in. It never occurs to me that you just shoot a rocket launcher at it. You know, missile explosives.
Yeah.
Never fails.
Yeah, well, that's what it's for. And then
it's just so ridiculous.
They escape. They have there's a big load of Jafar chasing them. They blow a load of them up with some claymores. They escape, and they get back to Earth. And Teal'c, like Jack's like, I want this guy on my team, and we're gonna go out there and fight the Gould and explore.
Yeah,
that's kind of where it ends. Except there is one weird bit where Kowalski, who's one of the soldiers who's with them, he looks a bit, shaken when he gets back. Look, a little bit odd, a little bit off his game. When he gets back. But maybe that's it. We will never find out what happens there because Overlite didn't enjoy the show. So
yep, he's infected with a parasite. He's got one of the
maybe he
awful
is.
parasites in him.
Maybe he is.
Isn't there literally a scene earlier on where one of them jumps into his shirt?
I don't think so.
It slides in his neck, and
I don't think there is.
Oh, I watched a scene where a parasite jumped into his shirt.
Oh, I can't remember that.
Well, he's
maybe it did. Maybe I missed it.
He's infected with that. But then, maybe there's different versions flying around. Who knows? Anyway, do you have anything to say about this? Because I think
I watched it and I really enjoyed it again. I watched it through and I went, you know what? I remember how much I love Stargate.
Yeah.
And I was really enjoying the show. I was like, it's nice that it's nice and slow and it doesn't just like toss you around. And it was like a nice build up. And I was really enjoying it. And then I talked to Overlite after I watched it, and Overlite went, "Oh, I didn't enjoy it." And
Yeah,
I was like,
I
"Oh,
watched it,
oh
and
no."
I about halfway through, a bit less than that, I think, maybe even earlier. I I got bored. It was very slow. Nothing was really happening. They were taking a very long time to do a few very basic things. There's just a lot of time passing, and I didn't have anything to write about, make notes about. I didn't have anything to think about. I was watching it, and I was like, well, they're gonna keep going places. There's a plot happening here. I could regurgitate the entire plot to you, but I disliked it for the, I think, exact reasons that you liked it, which is a good sign.
Oh no. But so I guess the only, unless you've got anything more to say,
You're gonna ask me if I want to watch the
the
rest of the
question
series.
is, do you want to watch more Stargate SG1?
You know, maybe I do want to watch. No, I don't.
You don't. What if
Do
I
you
find
imagine-
like some of the best episodes?
Okay, we could watch like two of the. I'll give you two chances
Oh,
if you
jeez,
really
okay,
want
Christ.
to try me on this. You've got two
Yeah.
chances to pick. I mean, it can be, if it's like a two-parter, we can do a two-parter.
God,
I'll
I'm
count
trying
that
to
as
think of
one
two of
chance.
the best episodes
But like
now.
the best.
God, maybe
You want to
can
pick
leave some of the
the
best
least
episodes in the
military
comments.
one.
Oh God, okay.
The one that's most, because if it's like, oh wow, look at the amazing things and plot that happened this episode, and the whole time I'm gonna be like, wow, this only makes sense if you look at it from an angle of like strong military patriotism. Gosh, how jaded I am. Like, you know, if you really want to sell me on this, you're gonna have to pick something that like refutes that somehow, or ignores it.
I gotta think of something.
Or we could just watch a different show.
Yeah, there's that too. Anyway, I just had a quick look at what is
There's a phone
considered
call
the
from the
best
producers.
episodes,
Yeah.
and for some reason on this list, the first episode is actually 19th on the list.
That's not good.
I probably would not have done that. Actually, there's an episode of season 9 on here as well, so this isn't a very
9?
reliable. Oh yeah, so SG1, okay, Overlite. So
Yeah.
it ran from 1997 to 2007, 10 years,
Holy
214 episodes.
what?
It's a long one.
Fuck.
Yep.
Wow, so you know how earlier I was saying that I could give it a chance?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch this show anymore.
What do you mean?
Well, it just now I've got a completely different impression of it as like it's like a Simpsons. It's like a sci-fi Simpsons, you know? It's a weekly regular scheduled airtime programming. It's not even
I mean, yeah, it is a classic like episode in a bottle show.
I don't think very highly. I don't think very highly of Bottle. What is there to say about a Bottle episode? I mean,
Well,
actually,
it's not
that's
really
that's a
it's not
dumb.
really
I
Bottle
retract that
episode.
statement. I completely retract that statement. You can do so many good things, but like, show you run out of ideas, don't you? It just like when
Well, they
a
went
show
for, like,
just
10
goes,
seasons,
yeah, when a
so-
show goes
I
forever,
guess not.
there's kind of no point watching past the first 4 seasons if you realize, oh, this show doesn't end. This is an endless
things
show.
change and characters grow.
Yeah.
It's
And
not. It's
very
not just
slowly,
like. It's not The Simpsons.
random stuff
Nothing ever
happens.
changes in The
Oh
Simpsons.
no, The Simpsons got worse.
The
After
Simpsons.
it's
Bart's been 10 years old for like 40 years or something, right?
Yeah,
Something
40
like
years.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know how long The Simpsons.
No, but
has
my
been
point.
going.
My point
it feels
is
like
that
it's been a long time.
my point is that like when a show runs forever or for as long as it is successful, it's not like at a certain point things just happen because the writers run out of ideas because they've done everything already. They've killed all their main villains. They've saved all the people they need to save. They've done the Earth invasion plotline. They've done the alternate universe plotline. They've done the Galactic Alliance plotline. They've done like it just gets worse and worse and worse, and like it just I don't. When I am presented with a show that doesn't end, I immediately am going to be like, oh, well, this is. I mean, guilty pleasure, sure. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be good. But like,
yeah.
Listen. If you're a young white American man and you want some sweet freedom for your body whilst you calm down from your latest session of American football and you wind down for the day and you just like having something on, then have I got the Stargate SG1 for you? But like otherwise, I
Listen,
just...
if you want to watch a sci-fi that's really campy, doesn't take itself too seriously, but still has those hard-hitting emotional moments, then have I got a sci-fi for you?
I think I just
Stargate SG1.
I think I just have very high standards.
Overlite has a very specific type of show in mind, and just Stargate, isn't it?
I'm here as a fantasy nerd, except it's not even fantasy shows. It's just I just have very high standards.
It's a sad time. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah,
on the View Screen podcast.
Or hopefully find something that I actually enjoy.
Mwah.
Is this how we're signing off now?
That's it.
Love you.
I don't think we need to tell them that we love them. But hi.
Have a nice day at work.
Yeah.